Welcome to Spoiler Piece Theater, the podcast that doesn't give a shit about spoilers. We just want to talk about the movies. My name is Megan Kearns. My pronouns are she, her. I write film reviews for Edge Media Network. I'm co-host of the Slashers podcast. I'm a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association and a member of Gallica, the Society of LGBTQ Entertainment Critics.
And my name is Dave Riedel. My pronouns are he, him. I write for the Chicago Reader. I'm a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association. Yeehaw.
Yeehaw indeed, sir. And it's exciting news. Returning team member, returning family member of Spoiler Piece Theater, Mr. Evan Crean. We're so excited you're back!
Welcome back.
Hi, everybody. Remember me?
No, why don't you tell us about yourself?
Yes. Evan Crean. My pronouns are he, him. In case you guys forgot, I am co-chair of the Boston Online Film Critics Association and co-author of your 80s movie guide to better living, and glad to be back on the show after a hiatus.
Yeah, we're glad to have you back.
Glad to be here. You guys mentioned that I was away, but I think probably should tell you all the reason why I was away. I've been off raising a tiny human.
Wow.
I think I mentioned a long time ago on the show that Shauna was pregnant and we were going to have a child. And so we had a daughter. Her name is Rami, and we are very excited to be parents. And although we're both very tired, we're both enjoying it very much. And I don't know, being a dad is really exciting and fun. And now I have a valid excuse for making dad jokes, even though she's not going to get them for a little while.
You were just in preparation for years before.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yep.
Winding up. Well, Evan, we are so excited that you're back, and I know our listeners are too. So thanks so much. I don't know why I'm thanking you, but thank you so much. We're so excited that you're back.
Thank you for returning. You could have, pulled a whoever and been like, you know what? I'm just a dad now. Fuck all y'all. You could have done that, but you didn't. So
that is true.
It's true.
All right. Well, we're here to talk about movies, in addition to dad jokes and all that jazz. So, But before we dig into this week's show, we want to tell you about our Patreon. If you're a member, go check it out. If you're not, consider joining, please, because for $5 a month, you get access to bonus episodes each week. And this week, we talk about, in honor of Noirvember, we talk about Laura, the classic 1944 noir, Otto Preminger's film, starring Gene Tierney. And we have a really great conversation. So go check it out. This week, we are going to be talking about Rustin, and we're going to be talking about the Marvels. And we're going to start things off talking about Rustin. That is about the civil rights iconic leader, Bayard Rustin, starring Coleman Domingo in the role, directed by George C. Wolfe. And let me give you the synopsis. This is a very long synopsis from Netflix press release. The architect of 1963's momentous March on Washington, Bayard Rustin, was one of the greatest activists and organizers the world has ever known. He challenged authority, never apologized for who he was, what he believed, or who he desired. And he did not back down. He made history, and in turn, he was forgotten. Rustin shines a long overdue spotlight on the extraordinary man who, alongside giants like Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., Adam Clayton Powell Jr. and Ella Baker dared to imagine a different world and inspired a movement in a march toward freedom. Yeah, that is all true. It's very lengthy, but true. The other thing is that, specifically that this movie focuses on, is that Bayard Rustin is not only a black man, but a gay man. And so he faces the intersectional oppression of not only racism from white supremacy, but also homophobia from white people as well as from other black people, sadly, too. So it's all about him and his struggles, as well as his triumphs and organizing the March for Freedom. So, Dave, you and I both saw oh no, all three of us saw this. What am I talking about? We all saw this.
Yes.
I'm losing my mind. I'm losing my mind. Evan, you're coming back.
Thank you for
It's so
joining me.
exciting. You're so excited. It's so exciting. I'm losing everything. Okay. So we all saw this movie. So, Evan, since you are returning, What did you think of this?
I thought this movie was okay. It to me felt very kind of standard civil rights era kind of movie about about the civil rights movement, about the work that went into planning protests, nonviolent resistance. It felt very standard to me. Not bad, just kind of like, okay, I feel like I've seen this kind of story before, but what I liked about it was Coleman Domingo in the lead
Yes.
role. I thought I've always found him to be a very magnetic performer,
Mhm.
and this is no different. I think if there's a reason to see this movie, is to see him in it and to see him be so magnetic in this lead role. He's so charismatic. He can be very funny. He can be very serious. He just has a lot of range as a performer,
Mhm.
and that was something that was really keeping me interested. It's just kind of seeing him and seeing his character navigate the homophobia that he faced within the civil rights movement. And so that I thought was really that aspect of the story was well done, even if the other parts kind of felt like, okay, I've seen this kind of thing before. So overall I liked this, but I didn't feel like, I don't know, it just didn't feel like it was doing anything, too different when it wasn't about the homophobia and what, this particular character was facing. I mean, I like that it's an ensemble cast kind of movie. A lot of really great black actors are in this, in various roles. Although I will say I think Chris Rock sticks out like a sore thumb
Oh my
in this,
God, yes.
and he's like woefully miscast. Not that I don't think he could potentially be serious or play serious characters. It's just was not working for me. As he played Roy Wilkins, was it the head of the NAACP?
Mhm.
Yeah.
It just who had issues with Bayard Rustin and was like always trying to undermine him or kind of kick him to the side.
Yeah, that dynamic was interesting. Chris Rock's
Mhm.
take on it.
Yeah, it wasn't quite working for me. But
No,
also,
agreed.
I'll have to say, seeing the community organizing aspect of this was really fascinating. The way that they kind of had to like plan this march on Washington, this 200,000 person march on Washington in a span of, what was it, like 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks? It
Mhm.
was very short amount of time that they had to marshal all these resources together. And so watching him set up kind of a command center where he's just assigning people all these different roles was really interesting, even down to, I think I think it was the person who was in charge of transportation or something. They just had like a generic name that was like, if you're
Yes.
talking to someone about transportation, you're talking to like Helen Wilson or
Yep.
whatever. Just ask like, wait, you're Helen Wilson? Yeah. Okay. He's just said just one person's name, makes it easy. Doesn't matter who they're talking to. They're talking to Helen Wilson or whatever the name was.
Yeah. I liked getting into the weeds on this, the minutia of the organization, the conversation, which it happens right before a more important moment, but the conversation about peanut butter and jelly sandwiches versus cheese sandwiches.
Yes.
Because you know what? He's right. On a hot August day, the cheese is going to spoil. It's got to be peanut butter.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would also argue more
Excellent
protein.
point.
It's going to last you
Yeah.
longer, be more filling.
True.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, are you using the kind of jelly that needs to be refrigerated? Because if you are, then that might spoil too. Not as quickly as cheese, but still.
It's true. That's true. Something to think about.
Yeah.
It's true. I was not expecting that moment to be as compelling as it was. And I think that speaks to Coleman Domingo's performance in this, because he made us a conversation about whether to make cheese sandwiches or peanut butter and jelly sandwiches into something that was riveting.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dave, what else did you think about the movie?
I mean, I think I'm willing to give Chris Rock a little more slack than you, Evan, but not much. I mean, I think he's doing about as well as he can. He's just not an actor, and that has been borne out time and time again. And he has said as much, by the way. He's like, I'm not really an actor, I do
and yet
appreciate.
people keep putting him in things.
Well, he's a big name and he's a great
That's true.
comedian
That's true.
and he's, done a lot of stuff and he's an impressive guy, So, unfortunately, the acting chops. And also you have to remember he's written and directed like 4 or 5 movies of his own. So it's like, he's knows how movies work. It's just, Anyway, I'm not going to stick on Chris Rock. I think I like this a little more than you did, Evan, though I agree with you that it's pretty standard fare as far as biopic stuff goes. I do like that by and large they stick to like the one time period, like the 6 weeks or 10 weeks, whatever it is, organizing the march. And we do get glimpses of, was it Phoenix? I don't remember where it was that Rustin was arrested for, being gay, basically. And I also, I liked how that's alluded to while they're planning, while they're getting closer to the march. And actually, I shouldn't say this because I don't know whether it was actually Strom Thurmond's real words or whether it was, portrayed by a performer. But hearing that fucking piece of shit, Strom Thurmond, say all those things, and then and I, as biopics go, I always assume that everything in a biopic is a lie, just because they are still
and double down on that when it's flaming hot.
Right, exactly. Maybe triple down on that one. But I have to assume that that the emotional honesty of the moment when Dr. King goes on TV and says, he has that press conference and says, look, Mr. Rustin is a great human and he's doing this for us and you can all like kiss my ass, basically. And I think that Coleman Domingo gets that sort of like that emotional release just right. Like it's just at the edge of like almost being too much, and he reins it back in. Like I would imagine one who is the boss of all these, these 100 people who are working for you would have to do in a situation like that. But also recognizing the weight of such a public affirmation of your character. And I think that what sets this apart a little bit from other biopics, even though, like I say, I agree with you, Evan, that it's pretty by the numbers, is the sort of double awfulness that I keep wanting to say Coleman Domingo instead of Rustin. I usually do call all characters by their actors' names, but I was trying to say Rustin in this one. Anyway, the sort of the double horror that he experienced as a black man in America and then B, a gay man on top of that. And I think that Coleman Domingo is I think he's really just so charismatic in this role without being showy, which is hard to do. And I think even when he, at the end, when they're all invited to the Oval Office and he says, well, I said I was going to stay here and pick up trash. That could have been a big, I'm just whatever. I just organized this and now I'm going to pick up trash. And he's like, nope, you guys go. And there's a little bit of theatricality to it because it is a movie, but right. Then he just
in a moment of pause that he even has that like I maybe should go with them, but
no, I think it's a good choice, and whether it happened or not in real life, I appreciate that the character moment of Rustin has the integrity to do what he said he was going to do, which is, as I said, I was going to pick up trash after this. And, I'm the president of the United States. It's not going to keep me from doing my work, So I also, by the way, I just want to say, I'm not a big Glenn Turman fan. I never have been. I know. But I really liked him in this.
Yes.
I liked him a lot. I was like, all the things I usually don't like about him, like just the odd intensity for no good reason, in my opinion.
Oh man, I love that about him. Love it.
I was just like, was like, it's really working for you in this one though, Glenn.
It does work. Yes,
it's working in the right places. I don't know, like how it, script, combination of everything, whatever. But he's really good. I also liked I also like Dr. King too. I thought it was a surprisingly understated performance. When I've seen Martin Luther King portrayed when he's just the affect they use his speech voice. I've seen performers use his speech voice when he's like just being a guy, whereas in this one it's like nope. They knew the difference between Martin Luther King the guy and Martin Luther King the public person.
The orator.
Yeah, the orator.
Yes.
Perfect. There you go. Yeah. So there are a lot of things I think that generally speaking, the performances, and even some, like I said, like the sandwich conversation, even some stuff like that just makes me think that I like this more than I do usually biopics. Even also the woman who was organizing transportation, like right when she gets assigned the job, she's like, I don't even drive a car. It's just like, and that's just like a night. That's like one line, but now I know a lot about you. So anyway, yeah, I liked this. It's not going to win any awards for me, but it's good. Especially for a Netflix movie. Which I don't usually hold in very high esteem. So
I don't know. There've been some great Netflix films.
Like yeah, I know.
Ones that are the ones in the award circuit, not just like the random kind of like throwaway ones, but like
yeah, I guess I'm just gonna pick a movie out of my hat. Marriage Story. It's for some reason you can tell the difference though. Like Netflix movies, like there are Netflix movies that they're all made for Netflix, right? But like 87% of them look like they were made for Netflix, and then the other 13%, like Marriage Story, look like they were made for a theater, but they just showed up on Netflix. I don't know. This movie looks better than most Netflix movies, I would say. But
yeah, well, this is also Barack Obama and Michelle Obama's production company,
right.
Higher Ground, so that very well could be part of the reason why it looks better. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a pretty good pedigree. So
yeah, definitely. You guys are both raising a lot of thoughts I had about this film. So Evan, just like you, I am team Coleman Domingo all day, every day. I have loved him ever since I saw him on Fear the Walking Dead. I was like, who the fuck is this guy? This guy is amazing. He is so magnetic, so charismatic. He is riveting. I've loved him in that, loved him in Euphoria, where he has stolen every scene he's ever been on that show. Love him in Zola. Love him in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, which also had Glyn Turman, who was also great in that. Listen, I love Glyn Turman. I loved him since A Different World. But anyway.
See, that's where I decided I was like not a Glyn Turman person.
Okay, well, I don't know what to tell you.
Cree Summer for sure.
I feel like you need to be on the Glyn Turman train. But anyway, back to Coleman Domingo. I'm glad you're on the Coleman Domingo train, because Coleman Domingo, I've been watching him for such a long time, and I'm like, this guy needs to be in a lead role. Like, he's so fantastic in these scene-stealing supporting roles. He's so great. He's just captivating. Like, especially in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, where so much of what's happening are his reactions on his face to what's happening in front of him, and he's so good. So I was so excited that he finally has a lead role, and it's a juicy one that he can like sink his teeth into. It's an important one, and Bayard Rustin is such an important figure in for Black history, for queer history, just history in general. And it's not the first time he's been portrayed. Like, he was also portrayed in Ava DuVernay's Selma. And Bayard Rustin is a character in that film. But it's great to see him in his own story and really leading. And so I think this is such an important film. And I think Coleman Domingo I agree with you, Evan, that he is the reason. I mean, this is an important film to see, I think, in general, but he is really the reason to see this, because he is just so captivating, just riveting to watch. And it's also really interesting because he is so different in this role. Like, the way he carries himself, the way he speaks is completely different. His teeth are different. His hair, like everything from his physical appearance to his voice and body language are so different in trying to evoke Bayard Rustin. And it really is fascinating to see. And I love the small moments of organizing as well. I enjoyed this a lot, but I think that where the film is maybe not quite as strong is in some of the kind of standard biopic beats, often with the conversations that are happening amongst other cast members. I feel like when this film is the strongest is when it sticks with Coleman Domingo and when we see the organizing elements. I think that's really where the film shines. The flashbacks too I'm okay with, because those are, I think, interesting and kind of showing, his train of thought and where he is and kind of the traumas of being arrested for being gay. But I will say, I think that it's really great that not only is this directed by a Black gay man, which George C. Wolfe is, but it's also written by Julian Brees and Dustin Lance Black. And Dustin Lance Black is a queer activist. And I always think it's great to have queer filmmakers and Black filmmakers be telling stories about queer Black people and history. And so I think that that's really important too. So yeah, so I think this is an important film for multiple reasons. But really, Coleman Domingo is just stealing the limelight, and good. Give it to him. Give him all the movie roles. Give him everything. Love him all day, every day. He's so great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He really is.
I love him so much. I want to watch more. Anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But do you guys have any other thoughts? Anything else you wanted to talk about Rustin?
Well, I guess the only thing that I would add is that I would say that I think that standard biopic Coleman Domingo's performance is such that I think it's worth seeing for him. I don't, whether biopics are your thing or not. He's just captivating. I've never watched Fear the Walking Dead, or Euphoria. So my knowledge of him is less. I've seen Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, but I don't have as much screen time with him on my eyes as you two do. So, but he is great. So there's that.
Mm-hmm. You should see him in Zola too. He's really fantastic.
Noted.
But anyway, it's a great film, just all around. What did you guys? Before we wrap up, I just want to say, before we shift to the next film, I thought it was really interesting, his relationship with his white boyfriend, who's kind of his boyfriend, kind of not. But then he's also seeing the Black pastor who's married, and that's a fictitious pastor. Because I was curious if that was an actual person, and apparently they're fictitious. But it's a really interesting thing how the guy is married, but doesn't want to come out that he's gay, but is clearly infatuated and attracted to Baird, Rustin. Like, anyway, I just kind of wanted to know your guys' thoughts on his relationships, and because it's something we haven't talked about yet.
Yeah, I liked that he had a very honest moment later with Tom, where his white boyfriend.
Tom, thank you. I couldn't think of his name.
He's like, yeah, because it's like, okay, he's cheating, I guess, with Elias as the pastor, and Tom kind of catches him, and that's really awkward. But then, like, he had some line earlier in the movie, I think, where he said, I asked you to be my assistant, not Mrs. Rustin.
Yes.
And so it's like clear that they're official-ish, but he's kind of like, at least he's seeing that they have an open relationship, even if Tom doesn't agree with the fact that
Poor
they have
Tom.
an open relationship. But I did appreciate the moment later in the film where he kind of has a heart-to-heart with him, where he says, I'm not I don't feel like I can fall in love. I don't feel like I can give myself the time, freedom, whatever it is to really swing for the fences and try and fall in love, and just like I love you in my own kind of way, basically.
And he calls him family. He says, "You're my family," and I was like, "Oh, that's so nice."
So I like seeing that, seeing them explore that relationship a little bit more, and yeah, I guess I could see, because he's so clearly like a charismatic figure and an inspiration to so many people, I could also, even if it's, a fictional pastor, I could see him being kind of like an inspirational gay figure to other people who might be questioning or in the closet, and kind of cultivating a relationship like that. And I did think it was also fascinating later on that the wife calls him up and says, look, you guys have had your time together, but now I need my husband back. Thank you. Bye.
That was quite a scene.
Indeed. All right. Do we have any final thoughts now?
No, Evan said everything I was going to say. No.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I liked that he often referenced his mother, Ma Rustin, in her kind of bon mots, like on these like snippets of wisdom or her own like proverbs that she shared with him that he kind of like took in his daily life and shared with other people. Like we were talking before about the trash collector business, where his mom said like, no man is less valuable because he, picks up trash to take care of people. And I just love that so much of his mother's kind of teachings, he carried those into his life and shared those with other people. And I thought that was really kind of sweet.
Although I think it's interesting because he was raised by his grandparents. But yeah, that is interesting. Nice touch. All right. Well, let's talk about the Marvels, the latest superhero MCU film out. This is directed by Nia DaCosta, woohoo, and written by Nia DaCosta, Megan McDonnell, and Elisa Karasik. And it stars Brie Larson, Tiana Paris, Iman Vellani, Zawe Ashton, and Samuel L. Jackson. And let me give the description. This is from the Marvel press release. Carol Danvers, a.k.a. Captain Marvel, has reclaimed her identity from the tyrannical Kree and taken revenge on the Supreme Intelligence. But unintended consequences see Carol shouldering the burden of a destabilized universe. When her duties send her to an anomalous wormhole linked to a Kree revolutionary, her powers become entangled with that of Jersey City superfan Kamala Khan, a.k.a. Ms. Marvel, and Carol's estranged niece, now Saber astronaut Captain Monica Rambeau. Together, this unlikely trio must team up and learn to work in concert to save the universe as the Marvels. All right.
Nice.
Yes, so Dave and I saw this, and Dave, let's have it. What did you think? Let's dig in.
The Marvels, it's kind of shitty. So. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's not, I don't think that it's not like a piece of shit. It's not like bad or anything like that. It's just, I think the big problem that I have with it is, there's so much going on. I think you've got these three dynamic characters who could be interesting, but unfortunately, the three credited screenwriters, and I'm guessing many more uncredited, it's like the kid is making jokes, and there's a lot of this is a problem I have with lots of these movies. It's not specific necessarily to the Marvels, though I think the Marvels is a little more than others. But let me try to have a coherent thought. I think I didn't see the first one, whatever it's called, Captain Marvel. Is that what it's called?
Captain Marvel. Yep.
And
yep.
I think you have both said that you think I would kind of dig it. I like Brie Larson. I like. I generally like origin stories, considering when they're done well. I think here, I don't think that it's bad that I haven't seen WandaVision, or there's another series that you
Ms. Marvel.
Ms.
Marvel, because you can kind of like, they do enough like retreading that you can figure out what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
I think the big problem with this is like Captain Marvel doesn't really have, like, Brie Larson doesn't really have anything to do except look kind of like, sorry, like a lot of the time. It's a very strange, like lead role. It's more like she's really underwritten. It's bizarre. I don't know if it's because her character is entirely front loaded to Captain Marvel, and then this is, like I said, I don't know the story. When she says, the Kree was run by an AI and I destroyed it, and therefore I destroyed their planet. Okay, sure. But
I didn't remember any of that when you were reading the plot summary. I'm like, Supreme Intent. And I feel like
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of the Marvel TV shows and movies. Like, I'm pretty well caught up on a lot of it. I'm like, I don't, what even
Yeah.
is that?
Wasn't that in Captain Marvel? I remember that. I feel
Yeah.
like that was in Captain
don't-
Marvel.
Yeah, I don't remember. It's been long enough since I've seen Captain Marvel. I've seen Ms. Marvel, and sorry to
No,
break
it's
in
fine.
here because I do really like Iman Vellani as Kamala Khan, and I did really like the show. I thought it was really cute, and I loved the representation and seeing a Muslim superhero. I thought was really cool.
Mhm.
Also, it's just really cute that she grew up cosplaying as Kamala Khan in Ms.
Well,
Marvel, and then actually got to be
we did-
and is now writing comics as the character.
Yeah, I was like, we didn't even get into that in the film because that's what's the really cool thing in the film is that that's how the film is introduced is that we see her writing comics and her room, and then they keep swapping places, and Carol ends up in her room and like really weirded out because like she sees like all of the artwork.
Right, she's a super fangirl. Yeah.
Yes, and it's so cute. And there's even like a touch of like there's a Funko Pop of her, and there's like a deep cut of like a Loungefly bag, which if you're a Disney nerd, you know exactly what a Loungefly backpack is, and that's hanging on her door. But anyway, I love that you're saying that, Evan, because that's in the movie too, and it's so adorable. And there's animation, and it's so cute. Anyway,
I think that her fan fiction is actually kind of fun, and that whole thing where she's drawing the panels and she's like, why can't I draw hands? I think that's all kind of neat, and I think the whole thing with the three of them swapping places when they are doing, I think that's all kind of cool too. But I think that was it Darben? Is that Zoe Ashton's character? I really like Zoe Ashton a lot, and I like her in this. I think it's a really it's another underwritten role. It's a lot of it's just I know that she's retconned in there because she's not in. I do know that she's not in Captain Marvel, but they it shows her like confronting Carol or Carol confronting her or something like that right before Carol destroys the AI in Captain Marvel. But the thing is, even though I haven't seen Captain Marvel, I kind of knew. I'm like, this is she's shoehorned in here. This is not this is not a carryover. And by the way, even though I didn't love the musical sequence, I also didn't think that it was fucking horrible. Like I've seen a lot of people write about on the internet. It's just like, take it easy. It's fucking weird. Who cares?
wait, are we talking about the cats and memories?
No, not the cats. I thought that was funny. I'm talking about.
Because I was like, that is the weirdest shit, and I loved it. But yeah,
I actually thought that was kind of
sequence?
funny, just because it was funny to watch all those cats. It took me a moment.
Oh my
I'm
God,
watching
I
all the
loved
cats
it.
running around, and then I'm like, oh, they're herding cats. That's pretty funny.
Yes.
But
I just love that they're playing memories and it's
Right.
from cats. I'm like, it's so silly. Anyway, but yeah, which musical sequence are you talking?
the one where Carol has to go to the planet where she's married to the guy where everybody only.
The planet where everybody sings.
Yes.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I think that's great.
I didn't really feel one way about it or the other, which I guess is maybe the sign of not a bad musical, because you know how I feel about musicals. I just feel like this is a whole lot of different threads trying to come together and not really hanging the way it should. And I think, unfortunately, Brie Larson is kind of stuck holding the bag because she's really not all that interesting in this. And I feel like Captain Marvel should be more interesting, and probably was in the first movie. It's I feel like this kind of how I feel about Back to the Future 2. It's like, it's fine, but it's really just a movie where everybody's reacting instead of doing. And I feel like this is kind of like that. It's just a lot of reacting instead of doing. And all of the doing happens like on Nick Fury's ship or whatever the fuck that is. I don't know any of that stuff either, where they're getting the cats together and the cats are swallowing everybody so they can be evacuated. People not realizing that evacuating means you're taking a shit, but that's okay. Always. Yeah. The Wire got that right. Everybody else. So it's just a lot of elements that feel like it doesn't hang together. And I if I had to guess, I would say that, I mean, this movie's, they've been working on this for a while, right? And between COVID and the shows and everything and dates getting pushed around, and it just feels like almost kind of like, God, we just got to get this fucking thing out, Which is too bad, because I think there's a lot of interesting elements here. I just don't think it holds together at all in a satisfying way. It's also really short considering what's going on in it. I mean, I looked at my watch when the credits started rolling, and it was like 8:48, and I'm like, this is really short for a Marvel movie. And I would never say that a Marvel movie needs to be longer, but I feel like you could have given, Carol like 7 more minutes of like character work, and I don't know. Megan, you're kind of looking at me like, yeah, I'm picking up what you're putting down, but not really. So what do you think?
Yeah, no, I totally see what you're saying. I just had a very different reaction and experience watching it. I had a lot of fun with this, and I really enjoyed it. And to be fair to you, it certainly could be because I've seen Captain Marvel, I've seen WandaVision, I have not seen Ms. Marvel, but I'm very familiar with, maybe not very, but I'm familiar with her story. Like, I know who she is and whatnot, and her powers and all of that. So that very well could be because I am well versed in it. And I definitely see what you're saying, like as far as Carol's not as fleshed out, and because she is very fleshed out in Captain Marvel. But as I often say, you shouldn't have to watch previous films or previous TV shows in order to follow or get the experience. So that could be, though, why I had a different experience where I didn't feel like she was like shortchanged, whereas you did, because I know what's going on, which is unfortunate because I feel like if you had seen it, maybe you would have had a different experience, but you shouldn't have to have seen it. But I really liked it because I really liked the camaraderie between the three of them and the interactions. I also really liked Iman Vellani. I think she's adorable and she's really funny. She has a very kind of natural energy. And I like how excited she gets about things and how she really like nerds out about Carol. And like before she meets her when they're all swapping places and she's like, Captain Marvel was in my house and I didn't get to meet her. And she's like so disappointed and it's so cute. But then they do meet and then she's like, we're going to be twinsies and we're going to be best friends. And it's like, it's just adorable. I love her energy.
It is.
Yeah, it's so cute. I think if anything gets shortchanged, for me, I feel like the relationship between Carol and Monica is very shortchanged.
Yeah.
It feels like it gets wrapped up way too quickly. Like Monica is like harboring all of this, I don't want to say animosity, but she's really like sad and kind of bitter that Carol never came back when Carol like told her as a little girl, like, hey, I'm going to come back. And then she hasn't seen her till now, like, 25 years later. And that just feels wrapped up really, really quickly. So I don't mind that it's only like an hour and 45 minutes, but I totally agree with you that if it had a little bit more breathing room, it probably would have been a little more impactful. But I can't believe I'm going to say this too. I think there's too many fight scenes. Like, I cannot believe I'm saying that.
There are a lot of fight scenes in this movie.
Many fucking fight scenes. I was like shocked. Like, we would go from one moment to another, and I'm like, Jesus, what's happening? I will say, I did like the fight scenes. I think they're more interesting than a lot of the Marvel fight scenes. And so I also really like how they keep swapping places and like every time they use their powers, they like switch like where one of them is and how they work in tandem eventually. I like that. But I liked the weird stuff. Like I loved the cats, like, not eating. They're not really eating people, but scooping them up in their weird tentacle mouths so they can transport them. And I love that. That's so fucking weird and just out there. And I love the weirdness of a planet that only sings in song and does kind of like, a dramatic like anime or Bollywood style dance. Like it's just, it's wild. I love it. So those things I loved, and I loved the camaraderie between them. And it kind of felt like Birds of Prey in a way, with all of the women coming together and working together. But I definitely think Darwin is not written great as a villain.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Zawe Ashton is a really good actor, and I feel like there should have been more for her to dig into.
Yeah. And she looks really cool in this too. Like
she does.
I usually think like sometimes the villains, it's like, all right, it's just like she's she's like really good looking, but she's also kind of evil looking, and she just looks
kind of creepy looking.
Kind of creepy and kind of mad,
Yeah.
but you can kind of see why, like she's really charismatic, so you can see why people would follow her. There's a whole lot going on just with like her look. which I think is,
yes.
a combination of costuming and her,
Totally. But great choices.
Yeah. And like the false teeth they have her wear, like such a great idea. It's like so weird, but also kind of like it looks kind of good.
I know. I was kind of mesmerized. I'm like, I can't stop looking at her like metal in between her teeth.
I know.
Like what's happening?
Like the whole time I'm just like, I know this is Zoe Ash and I've seen her in a lot of stuff, but I mean, I'm feeling things I haven't felt before,
Oh, David.
Yeah, it was just like, So anyway.
Yeah. But I do think it's kind of interesting that this notion, and this is going to be funny, but her villainy reminded me very much of Xena Warrior Princess, and how if you watch Xena, you know that that Callisto is one of her arch nemeses, and she was someone who survived Xena when she was a warlord, like destroying her town or her village rather, and then she becomes like a warlord herself, and they fight. And I feel like Darvin is kind of like that, like. She survives, Captain Marvel, Carol, attacking the Kree to try to stop everything because the Kree are colonizers and she's trying to stop them. But then she ends up making more problems and then she feels guilt and laments that. But Darvin has witnessed all this and now her planet is like destroyed. So now she wants to go and steal like the atmosphere and the sun and the water from other planets. And I don't think that would all work logistically, like scientifically. I'm like, but that is kind of weird that that's what I'm thinking about. I'm like, wouldn't that like throw like that planet's atmosphere out of whack? But whatever. But I do kind of like this notion of, this kind of retaliation as far as her motivation for being a villain. I just wish she had more kind of to do or more to say, but yeah, but I mean, I feel like I'm kind of, I don't want to say nitpicking because I think those are absolutely valid criticisms, but I still had just so much fun with this. I really enjoyed this and I think it's a testament to Brie Larson and to Imani Vellani and to Tiana Paris and just how well they interacted with each other and just they felt authentic and real to me as like having kind of this bond. And I liked that. And I like having a female-centric superhero movie. I do.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for it.
Yeah, I like that too.
And two of them being women of color, like that's great.
Yeah, like I say, I just wish it hung together better. There was something I was gonna. You made me think of something, and now I don't know what it was. I know. Oh, this is what I was gonna say. Now, as you all know, I am not a big MCU person, but I like the movies that I like, and I don't like the ones I don't. I have always said I think that Captain America Winter Soldier is a fucking great movie. Forget about like a great MCU movie. It's a great movie. But I do think that especially when we got into Infinity Wars, like things got really fucking serious with like the Marvel universe. And I think Phase 4 has been kind of like, I think that was the phase we were in. I don't know what we're in now. Like 5 are we into 5 now? All the multiverse stuff was kind of misstep after misstep, and I think that the Sam Raimi was it Doctor Strange and the whatever the madness of King George,
multiverse of madness.
Thank you. I think that movie veers like too. A lot of these movies I feel like don't really have a lot of personality, but I feel like that one almost has too much Sam Raimi in it. Like it's got so much like Evil Dead vibes in it that it's like bizarre. And I do like that this movie, even though it has some serious themes and et cetera, I do like that it has a sort of lighter touch overall because I feel like this series really needs that. I have not seen the last Ant-Man movie, and I know that's a big... I don't know how people feel about it. I don't know if it's good, bad, whatever. I actually don't really know much about it. But I do know that when you cast Paul Rudd as a superhero, it's probably going to be funnier than your average, or it's trying to be funnier than your average Marvel movie. So I don't know how that worked out, but I just like that this is just a little bit, even though, like I said, it doesn't hang together, it's lighter on its feet than a lot of the recent Marvel stuff I've seen, because I don't know if there's anything more depressing than watching a comic book movie with characters I shouldn't say a comic book movie, an MCU movie with characters you're really not that interested in being very dour, so.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm okay with the dour. I like grim. I like grim in
I
my
do
comics.
too.
So yeah, no. But I know what you're saying. But I think the key is that hinges on is what you said. If you don't care about that,
right?
That's the key. And right, like if you cared about them, you'd be fine with the grim. You'd be like, bring it on, bring on the grim in the tower. Right. But if you don't care, right. And sometimes the stakes don't really feel like they're real stakes. Sometimes it feels like everyone's taking it so seriously in these movies, and it's like, wait, is it really serious? And yes, sometimes it is, but sometimes it's like, wait, what? But yeah, no, but I do think it's kind of an interesting tone here because it is really fun. But there is a person who's trying to steal the sun from planet Earth and steal the ocean from another planet, like basically destroying planets. And yet there's like this light, wacky, zany tone going on. And it feels kind of tonally jarring, but yet somehow, for me at least, it worked. But it is kind of refreshing to have a more fun superhero film.
I mean, and I have to say, tonally, it shouldn't work, but it's not the thing.
Right.
It's not the thing that made me go like, I'm not digging this movie.
Right.
The thing that made me say that was just like the character stuff not integrating well, I thought.
Yeah.
Because
I do. Oh, sorry.
Well, just I know that Captain Marvel, the movie, I think is controversial among assholes. I don't think among regular people it is. But I'm saying that to preface it, like, I know it's a little bit controversial for some fucking reason that I don't understand and probably never will. But I dig the whole having a woman at the center of a Marvel movie, because she was it. Like, Black Widow finally got her movie, and then it was Captain Marvel, right? I mean, not including TV shows. And so I dig. I just feel it. I'm just kind of walking in circles now, but just everything's the whole thing kind of feels underserved for what I think it's supposed to be, in addition to being like moving the story farther along. So whatever. Yeah. Take all of that with several grains of salt, peeps. Okay.
Yeah, about Captain Marvel, I did like Captain Marvel. It wasn't the greatest thing, but I did. I really enjoyed it. I liked it a lot. You liked it too, right, Evan? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And what I liked in that, I don't know if you get that, Dave, in this, is that Captain Marvel is the most powerful person in the universe, like, hands down. And that's kind of like, I don't know, I think that's kind of cool. I think it's kind of cool that it's a woman who's the most powerful. I mean, yes, she's white, but I think it's cool that a woman is the most powerful being in the universe. And I think that it's a cool thing. It's cool. I like it. I like that she has a fan club.
Exactly, yeah. And I love that when she shows up in was it Endgame? She shows up and like punches the shitty piece of shit out of Thanos.
Yes. Amazing. Love that.
Yeah. I think I'm going to talk about is it Infinity War is the first one, and then Endgame is the second one of the, Thanos ending the whole phase 3. Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
The way that I keep waiting for a moment, and this is not fair, but I keep waiting for a moment like at the end of Infinity War when like half of the like universe has just disappeared, and the end of that movie is just Captain America going, "Oh no." It's just like it's just such a like Chris Evans really plays that, and just like the weight of that "oh no" is huge, and I kind of want something like that to, I don't know. I always had a problem with Infinity War's length, for example. I think it's 3 hours long. It's like, Jesus fucking Christ. How often do I need to see strong people get thrown through a wall? But this movie hit. I say this again. I'm talking in circles. It happened so fast. Anyway, I'm going to stop because I've said everything I need to say. I'm just going to start repeating myself again and again and again.
All right. So before we finish up, though, I think it is important, since this is Spoiler Piece Theater, that we do talk about the endings and we do talk about the post-credit scenes, which one of them was fine. One of them features, oh my God, I can't even think of her name. I'm terrible. From Hawkeye.
Haley Steinfeld.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah. And that was nice. And it's great to see Kamala Khan, try to recruit her into her team that she's starting because she wants to have another team. And I think that's cute. But the other one is the one I was pumped for. And so there's been a lot of talk about the cameo that's in this. And the cameo is, oh my God,
Kelsey
why
Grammer?
am I spacing? No, you're spoiling it. No, that's
I'm
too
supposed
far
to
ahead.
spoil it, right?
No, we haven't gotten to that yet. No, Tessa Thompson. Tessa Thompson is the cameo that everyone's talked about.
Oh, as Valkyrie?
Yes, as Valkyrie, which was great, but I wanted more Valkyrie. But yes, the cameo, and it's not Kelsey Grammer, although, I mean, it is Kelsey Grammer, but that's not what's exciting. What's exciting about that cameo is that it's Beast. It's Dr. Hank
from X-Men?
McCoy. Yes. That's what's fucking exciting. And as an X-Men
the Fox
nerd,
Marvel movies
yes,
are like converging with these.
Yes, that's what's fucking amazing. Yes, love it. So excited.
Oh, I had the opposite reaction because I was like, oh God, more X-Men. And then I was like, oh God, and they brought back Kelsey Grammer. Fuck me. You know, I was just.
I mean, we're getting another Wolverine. He's teaming up with Deadpool in the next
Yes, he
Deadpool
is.
movie.
With Hugh Jackman?
is
He's not done?
Yep.
Oh my God!
Nope.
Stop beating the fucking horse. Been dead.
Ryan Reynolds has been trying to make this happen for a very
Yes,
long
he
time,
has.
so I'm not surprised that Hugh Jackman was like, okay,
Right?
He's nonstop. He's been making jokes about Deadpool being obsessed with Wolverine
for so long.
Isn't Deadpool briefly in the first Wolverine offshoot movie?
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's like a bastardization of that character, but yes, he is in it. Then they recobbled the character together.
Yeah.
Anyway, I digress. But yes, I love X-Men and I love Beast. Beast, I'm not a huge Kelsey Grammer fan, but Hank McCoy, Dr. Hank McCoy is amazing. Amazing character. So I was very, very excited to see. And it's cool because it's like in a different parallel universe. And I loved it. I was excited. So anyway.
I was not excited, just in case it wasn't clear.
You're like, no more X-Men. I thought we were done.
I really don't like the X-Men movies. I don't have a feeling about the comics or the show or anything like that. But the movies,
yeah, that's what I love. I love the comics and the show.
Yeah, the movies by and large, I have felt are fucking dog shit. Even X2, which I think is one that people really like a lot. So,
X2 is great.
You're gonna you want to hear some sacrilege? I think X3 is better than X2.
Oh, that is sacrilege.
No.
That movie's dog shit. No offense.
I don't even remember it, but I just remember liking it more than X2.
I don't even remember it.
I just remember at the time. I remember thinking at the time, like, I don't think this is the one I'm supposed to like. I think I was supposed to like the other one, which is shitty. You know, so to me,
that one messes up the entire Dark Phoenix storyline. But I digress. It's like, that movie makes me
they still
mad.
haven't gotten Dark Phoenix right?
So no one has gotten Dark Phoenix right. They always mess it up. But anyway, yes. Oh, that movie made me so mad. But anyway, yeah, I will agree with you in the sense that I don't think any of the movies have really captured how great the comics or the shows.
I think they make the mistake of what a lot of big adaptations make is they're trying to find an endpoint. They end up taking on too much at once and kind of diluting everything.
Agreed.
You know,
agreed.
so
yep. Stay focused. Stay narrow.
Yeah,
it's the way to go.
And I think
I agree.
The first X-Men movie, which is objectively terrible. Although you have
I like it.
You have Hugh Jackman, who is like so magnetic, like somebody no one knew who the fuck this guy was, and so I think that's why X2 turns into that bizarre mishmash of it's sort of Wolverine's story, but they're also trying to shoehorn all the other ones in too. But we're spending more time with Wolverine than everyone else because like there's this hot Australian guy playing him, like, you know. So, and as we know, Hugh Jackman's just a fucking great performer in pretty much anything he does.
The best.
So,
I love him so
and
much.
a decent human being. We all kind of need more Hugh Jackman, I guess, but except for the musicals.
Agreed.
But
no, give me more of the musicals. I've seen him in concert. He's wonderful.
I'm sure he actually probably is wonderful in concert, but
he is. He's really great.
So I just every time the other thing is, and I really should separate this from X-Men. I always think of that fucking psycho Bryan Singer. So I just can't.
Well, yes, he's a scumbag.
I know. I just can't. I can't think of him and think of those movies.
No, that's totally fair. Totally fair. I completely understand. Yeah. So yeah.
So all right, I have said too much.
All right. Well, on that note, let's do a recap. So, Rustin is in theaters now, and it will be streaming on Netflix November 17th. What do we say? Would you guys recommend it?
Sure.
Yeah, definitely worth seeing for Coleman Domingo, and I think some of the other themes that it explores are also compelling, despite the fact that on the whole, it's, kind of paint by numbers biopic / civil rights movie.
I agree that it's definitely worth seeing, and Coleman Domingo is amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, and The Marvels is in theaters now. Dave, would you say see it? I'm gonna assume no, but you never know. Sometimes you surprise us.
It's not. I mean, I said it was shitty at the very top, but I mean, it's not shit. It's fine. You know, like if it's what you're into, go ahead. You'll probably have a good time. If you're like me, you can take it or leave it. You know.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. I do wish there was more, considering that one of the screenwriters is on WandaVision. I wish it was kind of more WandaVision vibes, but there is still weird, which WandaVision is, so there is weirdness there. I would say I recommend it. I would say see it because I had so much fun. But yes. But yeah. So
I'll probably see it.
Yeah, I want to know what you think, Evan, when you do see it.
Because I feel like I've seen the show,
right.
So maybe I'll have more fun with the movie.
I definitely want to know. I need to watch more of the shows, even though I watch a lot. But anyway, I digress. Okay, so Spoiler Piece Theater, we want to give a huge, huge thank you to our sponsor piece patron, Heather Sachs. Heather, thank you so much for your support.
Thank you, Heather.
Thanks, Heather.
We also want to give a huge, huge thank you to our amazing editor, Otto Clamor. Thank you so much, Otto, for making us sound amazing week after week.
Woo.
Thanks, Otto.
You can find Spoiler Piece Theater anywhere you get podcasts. We are everywhere. You can also find us at spoilerpiece.com. You can also follow us all over the place, social media. We are at Spoiler Piece on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, TikTok. I think that's it. We're there. So come follow us. Come say hello. Let us know your thoughts. What did you think of The Marvels? What do you think of Rustin? We want to know. We want to hear. And what do you think of X-Men, since we went on an X-Men tangent? But let us know your thoughts and who your favorite superhero is. And if you like the show, please rate and review. Please consider rating and reviewing us. That really helps us get the word out about the show, which helps us out a lot. You can go to ratethispodcast.com/spoilerpiece. We'll take you to your preferred platform of choice. You can also rate us directly on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. That helps us out a lot as well. And if you really, really like the show, consider becoming a patron if you're not already. For $5 a month, you get access to weekly bonus episodes. You also get to vote in monthly polls. This week's bonus episode was on the noir classic Laura, and we had a great conversation talking about that. Evan is a huge noir fan, and Dave is too. So it's always interesting to hear, for me, to hear their thoughts because they're such big fans. And noir is great, and it was great. So it was a great conversation. Also, if you're a fan of the show, you can when you go to spoilerpiece.com, you can go to our merch store. We have tons of merch. T-shirts, sweatshirts, pillows, mugs, notebooks, whole bunch of stuff, tote bags, you name it, we have it. So you can rock it out and show the world your favorite film spoilery podcast. And yeah, so my name is Megan Kearns. I write film reviews for Edge Media Network. I'm co-host of the Slashers podcast. I'm a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association and a member of Gallica. You can follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Opinion S World, or on Instagram and Letterboxd at The Opinion S.
My name is Dave Riedel. I write for the Chicago Reader. I'm a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association, and on almost all of the social medias, I'm Dave Sees Movies. That's Letterboxd, Instagram, Blue Sky, other shit. I don't know. You can find
Threads.
Threads. Thank you. That's it.
And my name is Evan Crean. I'm co-chair of the Boston Online Film Critics Association, co-author of your 80s movie guide, Better Living, and adding the new credit of Dad to my resume.
Yeah! And Evan, we are so happy to have you back.
Yeah,
we love you.
It's really good to have you back, man.
I'm glad to be back.
The three amigos back in the saddle. Woo!
Woo!
I can't believe I just said back in the saddle, and I'm a vegan. What the hell? Anyway. The proverbial
it's
saddle.
A faux leather saddle.
Yes. Exactly.
Vegan
A
leather,
faux
people.
saddle. A faddle, if you will.
Ooh, nice. All right. That's going to do it for us, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.